Hi, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. It is Monday, October 3rd. Or is it, excuse me, I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at something else. It is October 12th. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know that you're here. I'm really excited. As you guys know, I am here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. So if you're here, let me know where you're from. Let me know where you're coming in from so I can talk to you, say my highs and how you doings and all of that good stuff with you guys. Let me know where you are. Make sure you post. I see we have people on. We are streaming to multiple platforms tonight. As always, we are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about tonight. So let me know where you guys are in it. Type in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that my audio and everything is good. I'm excited about what we're going to do on tonight, what we're going to talk about, and I want to make sure you guys can hear me before I get started. So let me know where you guys are in from. Post your comments. Hi, Maureen. How do I join one of your classes? You're in Wisconsin. Hi, Maureen. I will let you guys know. Make sure to hit my inbox, Maureen, and I'll send you some more information about my life classes. Hey, Evangelist Robinson, Yonkers. How are you guys tonight? Audio is good? Great. I was going to try to be fancy, y'all, tonight and use my AirPods, but that wasn't going well. So I'm going to try that another day. I better stick to what I know and work with what I know, what I'm doing, and then I'll move on to fancier things as the week goes. I'm excited, you guys. I don't know exactly where Evangelist Robinson, Tasha Robinson is on here. You guys, I'm picking up something off the floor. But I am doing a Zoom with her ministry on Saturday, and we're going to talk about baggage and being free and letting things go. So I'm really excited about that. If she gets a chance, I want her to post that information again for any of you guys who are interested. It's not going to be live. It's going to be in a private Zoom because we want to have it as an intimate setting. So if you're interested, she's on here somewhere. She'll post it so you guys can join in. Hi, Louisiana. How are you, Lois? Hi. I'm so excited that you guys decided to join me on tonight. I felt like we really needed, I know so much is going on in the world and we're talking about COVID and we're talking about these other things, but as you guys can see from my screen and me wearing my pink, I didn't want to forget about us ladies and possibly some men. So today we're going to talk about breast cancer awareness. And so I want to get started because I'm just so excited about what we're going to share on tonight. I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself. One, because I honestly haven't seen her. We went to high school together, you guys. And you guys know how I operate. I don't usually know what we're going to talk about week to week. I pray, I ask God what I'm supposed to talk about, how I'm supposed to share with people. And last week, he laid it on my heart to put up a post about having someone to talk about breast cancer. And I was just like, okay, I don't really know anyone based in this bracket. And, you know, I didn't want to get someone that was a lot older. I wanted to get someone who was kind of in my age bracket or in their 30s or so. And I was just like, I don't know who to choose. And immediately I started strolling through my Facebook and my guest, I saw her literally post about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I don't want to take away from her story. I am going to invite her in. Hi, Lillian.
How are you?
Good. You guys, this is Lillian, and she's going to introduce herself. But like I tell you, we really have not seen each other or spoken to each other or nothing. This is totally off the cuff. This is a God thing. So you guys, I'm just going to flow with God. You guys know how I do. But Lillian, can you please introduce yourself and tell our guests kind of where you're from and what you currently do?
Absolutely. My name is Lillian Acosta. I'm the dance minister at our church, Apostolical Church, La Vid Verdadera. and that is the True Vine in English. We are located at 27 Lincoln Park in Newark, New Jersey. I am born and raised in Newark.
Brick City.
I am born and raised in Newark, and I am my apostles. First of all, I got his okay. I know that you were laughing when, yeah.
Well, everybody knows. I'm so excited that your apostle released you to share your story on my live. Everybody knows, you guys know, my apostle is my apostle, my spiritual mentor. He is also my spiritual father, so I don't play no games. Y'all know I won't be talking to y'all if he don't say it's okay. So I'm so glad when you said that.
Yes, I got Papa's released, and yes, my apostles. First of all, their names are Roberto and Judith Comesañas, and I've been born and raised in church. And I'm a mother of two. Through this pandemic, yes, we just had two graduates in our house. My son, Gabriel, and he just entered his college years.
Oh, wow.
And his dad, wife, yes. And I'm also the proud mother of a 14 that just graduated and entered her high school years. So yes, 18-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter. I just celebrated my 22nd year anniversary. I am married to my high school sweetheart.
Yes!
So, yes.
And it's been 22 years?
22 years.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so awesome. And honestly, you guys, like, we would literally see them together in high school. And it's funny because a lot of people, I know because I didn't marry my high school sweetheart, but it's so awesome to see that they're still in love today. They're serving in ministry together today. They have two beautiful kids. And so it's just awesome to see, because as I stated to you guys, I haven't spoken to her since high school. And so I'm honored. I'm honored because your apostle is on. Is it Roberto? And his last name is Comesanas. Oh, thank you so much, Apostle, for listening. And thank you so much, Apostle, for the release. I really, truly appreciate it. So I want to kind of jump right in because your story is just so amazing. And so I wanted you to kind of lead us into your journey dealing with breast cancer.
Absolutely. My journey literally started when I was at the age of 29. I was what you consider not an adult breast cancer survivor at that time. I was literally in the bracket of basically teens and kids, because breast cancer was not such a huge thing back then. I believe, and it's only been like 14-15 years, but so much has happened since then. The higher rate of younger people in that bracket is now higher. I was one of the first cases for my breast surgeon at my age. So at the age of 29, I had just had my daughter. She was born in December, and I remember in about April, I was taking a shower and I felt a lump. So at that moment, I'm thinking I had a milk duct infection, and basically that's what prompted me to call and do my appointments. I'm like, okay, I'm probably getting an infection. I was in between breastfeeding. Maybe. You never think of the word cancer at all, especially at
29.
Yes, I went in. They checked me, and I remember my doctor telling me, don't worry, I'm sending you to get an ultrasound, but you're too young to have cancer. So that's like, take that out of your, I'm going to still send you to get an ultrasound, send you to a specialist just to double check. I did the ultrasound. The insurance, there was a back and forth with insurance because I was too young. I didn't fall in the category of getting mammograms. So I didn't even get a mammogram, believe it or not, at 29, and them thinking that there might be something else. That was not the case for me. I did go into my surgeon and the specialist, and she literally walked me in. She's like, "Oh," the first thing she said, she was like, "Oh, you're a baby." I said, "Well, thank you, but I'm 29." I I come in. She just literally looks at the ultrasound, and she goes, "Well, tell me a little bit about yourself." As she's what she goes, "But I need you to come into the office and I want to check you." I said, "Okay." She had looked at the ultrasound a little astonishing, and she goes, "I want to send you to get a biopsy, but I know that sending you to get a biopsy is going to take a long time." So she said, right there in the office, cold-blooded, I had a biopsy done. Wow. She said, she at me, and she's like, I want to do everything to preserve your life." And I said, "Okay." And that's when everything started, you know, everything started happening. She ended up calling me after that biopsy. And I remember there was an amazing service at church. It was a prayer service. And I literally walked in, and that was one of those services where you feel the presence of God just opening the door. And, you have people all over the place speaking in tongues, and, the power of God was just so palpable. Yet I get a call right before opening the door, and it was my doctor. And she's like, "Are you home? Are you sitting?" I'm like, "No, I'm in church. I'm walking in," and she's like, "Well, I need to tell you, I need you to come in tomorrow because your breast cancer biopsy came back and it was positive."
Wow.
That was the biggest blow to me at that moment. At that moment, you just feel like it was a whirlwind. It was like somebody just punched you in your stomach. I couldn't get a word out after that. I had the phone. She's asking me if I'm okay. She's like, "Are you still there?" I'm like, all I could say was, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm." And I remember just couldn't say anything. And a friend of mine came in. She literally took my phone from me and started asking questions. Why is she crying? Why? Who is this? Can't she speak? And I remember them telling her, and they went to get the apostle. And by that time I was on the floor, and I'm just crying. I couldn't do anything else. And my apostle, being my awesome apostle, he didn't just come and give me a hug and "You're going to be okay." He had a bottle of water.
Wow.
Water. He just threw water at me, and he gave me his hand. He's like, "Get up. I haven't given you permission to die yet. Get up." Wow. And right there was like a powerful moment for me, because I knew I wasn't going to, looking back, I wasn't going to intake anything other than, if he wouldn't have thrown that water, I probably wouldn't have reacted to anything. I probably wouldn't have heard his words to say, "Get up." You know what I'm saying? So I got up. I went from crying, from coming home, to looking at my children, to just processing the word cancer. The word cancer is death. The word cancer is your life is over. The word cancer grips you automatically, like 100% at that moment. And you feel so vulnerable, and your kids are little. And all I remember is just looking at my children. My daughter was a baby. My son was just 4 years old. And I remember saying, "This cannot be happening to me. This just can't happen to me." And I'm looking at my son, and I'm looking at my daughter, and I'm like, "I'm going to see you graduate."
Wow.
To me, I kept on saying, I need to see you. I need to see you guys graduate. I want to see you, form a family. I want to see my grandkids. I want to see. And I start blessing. Every time I see them, I continuously, till this day, it's a generational blessing that pass on. And I know the generation will end and has ended with me. And I continue to bless their everyday step. But as I look at them, I'm like, I know I'm going to be okay. And
Wow.
I at that time I only did a lumpectomy, which is removing partial of your breast. I had to do chemotherapy. They gave me the harshest chemotherapy. I remember my surgeon just holding my hand when she was about to do a lumpectomy, and she said, "You're my kid, you're my child in my hands right now." And I heard those words so many times throughout my journey, that I heard, "You're my child." I heard, "I'm going to do everything I can to save your life." And looking into the faith that you have, you know that those are God moments that he's telling you, you're not alone. I am here with you. Though you are, like Psalms 23 says, you're walking through the shadow of the valley of death, literally. You will fear no evil. Know that God is holding your hand through it.
Wow.
And there is such a difference in a powerful moment when you know that your faith will bring you through it, that you hear constantly, "No weapon formed against you prosper," but that you understand that the weapon is still being formed, that the weapon might hit.
That's it.
The Lord's just telling you it's not going to prosper. You're not going to die from it. So, you're going to get battle wounds. You're going to get hit. And that's how I fought, and I learned through my apostles, through my church. This is what they teach us. This is what they constantly teach us, how to just bring yourself up. Because when I went through the breast cancer, and I went through the lumpectomy, I went through the process of them telling me that it was a very minimal invasive, like not invasive, it was protected. It was not I cannot say that in Spanish. It hadn't released the cells
No,
yet.
you say it in Spanish, English, whatever. You guys, y'all know. We are multicultural here.
But yeah, it was just like held in a cell, and that tumor and that cancer were just held. And when that doctor did the biopsy, literally they scheduled me for a week and a half. And that week and a half, by the time I came out of that surgery, she looked at me and she says, "You're no longer stage 1, you're stage 2. I said, "How can that be?" It's less than 2 weeks, and a tumor just grew from one stage to the other. And she says, "It's growing." And I said, "That's impossible." And it was just a fast acting cell. And through my first diagnosis, because I've been diagnosed twice.
Did you guys hear that? Twice. She's been diagnosed twice with breast cancer. So your first diagnosis was at 29.
Yes.
And how old were you when your second diagnosis?
10 years later at 39.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. 10 years later at 39. And at 29, I remember the Lord ministered to me through that first stage, that the Bible, the verse in the Bible, when the Lord, when Jesus is walking and he sees the fig tree. I don't know if you know that parable, when he's walking and he sees the fig tree, and he was hungry and he went to get, he wanted one of the figs, and there was no figs, there was no fruit, and he condemned that fig tree, and he says, "I condemn you
for not producing fruit."
But if you continue reading, it says in less than 24 hours. So if you read it, it says the next day, the sun came up, and that same plant that was still there, that had life but had no fruit, and he condemned, was dead from the root. And I said, that's when I took back and I said, "Okay, Lord, if I know you can heal me, and you can heal me anytime, but if I'm have to go through this process, I'm going to claim that word and that verse. That's going to be. And every time, I remember going to my chemotherapy, my first sessions, and they give you so many. At least for me, I had a lot of different chemotherapies given to me, and which each one they give you like a flyer, and this is all the stuff that might happen to you, that will happen to you. You get from losing your hair, which is not a pleasant thing. Losing your hair is very painful.
And while you're talking about that, I don't want to interrupt you, but while you're talking about that, I want to bring up her pictures, some of the pictures that she decided to share too as you're talking, so you guys can really see what she's talking about. Go ahead, Lillian.
Yes, I lost most of my hair. I mean, I lost all of my hair, and was opening at the same time. It's not like you lose, like little bits at a time. It just all happens literally at the same time. And it was just so painful and so like heated, and like you felt like your head was on fire. And I remember starting to get all of these, everything that those charts said I was getting, and I started declaring that word, and I said, Lord, if I'm going to have to go through this in less than 24 hours, these things have to go. And I literally can tell you that I got everything on those charts, and after I prayed, within less than 24 hours, everything was gone. Every sore, wow. Every rash, everything that I would see on the chart. Oh, I just got this. I started getting a sore, and I remember them telling me when they gave me that medicine, this, you're supposed to take ice and put it in your mouth while they're giving you that chemotherapy, because it's so strong that it burns, and it gives you sores from your inside of your lip, your tongue, your esophagus. Like you're completely in sores. And I got my first sore, and I said, Lord, impossible. I declare that within 24 hours, this dies from the root. I will not have sores. I need to eat. And wow. And I remember that I started getting I got one of the rashes, and it was one of our Tuesday services. And I remember the apostle comes up to me and he goes, hey, what's going on with your face? I said, I've prayed for everything, and this rash just didn't go. He could have said, well, pray about it. Or he could have said, he could have said anything, but he just looks at me. He goes, well, you need to go back and pray and tell the Lord he forgot one.
Be very specific. Be very specific.
Absolutely. In fact, I said, Lord, this has to go. Within that night, I went to sleep. I woke up with the softest skin ever the next day. Wow. But in my first process, I remember living off of those words, that everything will die from its roots. And I declared it, and I claimed it. And things that you learn is that the Bible is our inheritance. God has left us this inheritance, and every promise there, put your name on it, declare it, and claim it yours. It's like you're getting, the biggest inheritance in the world from your uncle, yet you didn't write your name down, and you're not taking it out of the bank. So wow. I remember going through all of this. I remember my church crying with me, my church lifting me up, because we are one family. The first and second time around, wonderful. They were absolutely you need village to lift you up. You need the right village to lift you up. But I wasn't alone from food coming to my house, from everything was checked off by all the people that I loved. And I remember that once I finished, I started dancing. I remember dancing in our church when I had no hair. It was like the first time I lost my hair. And to me, my hair, in high school, my hair was like, I think I was known for my hair because it was so long.
Yes, she was known for her hair. Beautiful hair.
But once I lost it, you feel stripped. I mean, it's now, and men are losing their hair and they got a little bit missing and they're still trying to hold on to that, you know? So imagine a woman. But a woman being stripped off what's considered beauty, and you're already going through a process where you have scars all over your body now. And you're having to learn how to deal with uplifting yourself, how to start talking to yourself again, like, okay, this is your new beauty. You're gonna have to, you work it. You're gonna have to learn to work it.
Yeah. And I mean, you look good with your hair gone, like, because you have like a nice face. Like it looked so good. And honestly, of course, people knew your journey. You were sharing your journey with people, whatever. But I just want to go back to this picture. You guys, I kind of went through some of the pictures, but this right here, when I looked at this picture, I immediately, because, of course, guys, I looked at the pictures before and I immediately went to tears because this right here is your husband.
Yes.
And what is he doing in this picture?
This is my second journey. This is when I was 39. And at 39, I had to get a double mastectomy with a deep flap reconstruction, which means I have a scar from hip to hip, and I have a scar on both breasts. And what I came out, they're drainage bulbs. So what I had was I had 6 drainage bulbs on the incision from hip to hip, and every certain amount of hours they had to be changed and they had to be cleaned and they had to be put back. And my husband, I tell you that, number one, he absolutely hates hospitals, but he has never left me alone in a hospital. Yes, he can't stand every time. I think he can, if he has to run from hospitals, he does. But anything that I have to do, he will be there. And he had to learn how to change my bulb, like the drainage. And this was literally when I first got home, and he ended up, because our bedroom is on the 2nd floor, and he ended up having an inflatable bed and slept in the living room with me on the floor for 2 weeks. And every morning, and anytime I had to use the restroom, anything I had to do, he would wake up and he would take me and put me back. He would make sure he would give me my medications in the middle of the night. And he would do this right before leaving to work in order for the drainages to be cleaned. So yes, he has been my rock and my support system, and he has been amazing. I'm sure he's listening somewhere.
Hi, baby. Yes, our husbands have the same name. You guys know my husband is Dominican and Puerto Rican, so that's the thing. But when I looked at this, it's just so amazing at how God would have you meet the person back in high school who would be your support system. Because, of course, God knows all things. He knows what we're going to encounter. He knows what we're going to go through. But he's so amazing that he would line you up with the person, not only to be your husband and your covering and the priest of your house, but to also care for you. And 2 times, not once, but twice. And honestly, what 29 or 30-year-old man, when you're 29 with kids, knows what to do or how to do or how to feel or, how to go through and how to endure, and then to be a strength for you. And then 10 years later, to have to do that same process over again. And so I honestly, first of all, I commend him, because there are not a lot of men who can do that young. Because it's different when you're growing old and you're older and, oh, I'm going to take care of you, you take care of me. But the Lord gave him such a grace to be able to support you and go through that and still, like you said, go to work.
Yes. He would literally and he would wake up super early just to do all of the things. And that is one thing that I do remember from both of my times at the hospital taking chemo. And I remember taking care, or my personality has always been to kind of, at least in the hospitals, talk to people, especially when I was going in to get chemo, because most of them were older or elderly people in a room by themselves. So I was usually the nosy one that would go, supposedly to the bathroom, but I was not going to the bathroom. I was just trying to see if anybody was if any of them were cold, if they needed a blanket or a pillow. And I would make sure that I would go like, "Are you cold? Do you need a blanket?" Because they give you warm blankets, but they kind of get cold, By now, you think they have the electrical one.
Wow.
But they were by themselves. And I remember speaking to one lady that would constantly, and I noticed that she would pick a day to be at the hospital at the same time as me. And eventually she started getting closer, and she would say, "I commend your faith." And I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you." And she goes, the way you speak and the way you hold yourself and the way you treat others while you're going through what you're going through, she says, just speaks volume of that. There's certain, she goes, "I've known a lot of Christians, but you're definitely, when you get to heaven, you're not going to be in Pampers." That's what she said out of the blue. I'm like, okay. And then she's like, "It's just the way you kind of tend to people." And she was saying that because there was a young lady that she would come in with her kids. She literally had a toddler and she had an infant, and she would cry, and she was alone. So I would ask her, "Did you, are you okay? Do you need me to get anything for you?" And one day she just starts crying. She's like, I'm alone in all of this. I got sick, and I'm also, my husband's leaving, and I have no one. So she's like, "I'm just telling you because I see that your husband comes with you. I see it." And that is so nice, because not all men do that. And I'm like, wow, because I've been living in a relationship where God has blessed me with a man that can provide, a man that gets up, a man that, covers your house, covers your finances, covers, and is still working to be a better Christian every day. So I'm thankful for that.
That is just so amazing. It's funny because I didn't even know that part of the story when I just started talking about your husband, because it's so true that breast cancer itself can really truly rip a family apart if you're not rooted and grounded in faith. And even though, and you went through this journey twice, but even in your journey, even in your valley, you were still ministering to other people. And I to me, that's commendable in itself, because a lot of times we forget that a lot of times the things that we go through are not because of anything we did or any sin we've committed or whatever. It's really truly for somebody else. That's usually how God operates, where your testimony is supposed to come and bless someone else who may be going through the same thing. And the fact that you were in it, because a lot of times people can't help other people while they're in it. If you notice, some people, it's like, "I'm in it. Oh my God, I can't deal this. I can't deal whatever." And then once they come out on the other side, then they try to go back and say, "This is what I went through." But the fact that the Lord gave you such strength and such a foundation and a support system that you were able to, even while you're in it, even while you're at chemotherapy yourself, dealing with your own situation, to still be able to minister to people. Like that right there is amazing. And I know you talked about how your church, like they cried with you, they prayed with you, and things of that nature. But that really is commendable, even to the fact of where you go to church, because there are not a lot of places that can not only support but give you strength.
Absolutely.
And so that right there is amazing, that because of where you sit, that you gain strength even in what you were going through. Now, I have a question about the second time you got diagnosed. How did that happen?
The second time that I got diagnosed, I was 39, as I said before, and because I had a lumpectomy previously, I still got mammograms. So the second time was caught on a mammogram, and it was extremely small, but it was on the same breast in the same spot, which was, again, I was the first one. God created me so unique that even my cancers are unique. There was a panel just like deliberating on with that tumor. But it was very small. But this time, since it was in the same spot, they had to remove both breasts, and that's when the struggle and the harder part of it, because now your kids are bigger. Now you've moved on, from a place that you thought was done and over with, but but now you're back in it. You're still strong. Your faith is still there. But as a Christian, as a human being, let's say, as a human being, you're going to cry. You're going to feel, sad. You're going to want to scream. You're going to want to let it out, because who wants to go through this whole process all over again? It's not like, it's not a walk in the park. And even though I've been prophesied I would dance over the waters, I've danced over the waters. I've gotten to the other side. Even though, God has told me, God has numerous promises over you. I claim those. Like, nope, I can't die. You've had promises over me. I got to get them done.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
There's things that you hold on to. And I know that, God has allowed me to go through this process and several other processes. I know that this is the month of infant loss. I have lost, in between all this, before I had breast cancer, I had a son, and I had to bury him. So I've gone through several processes in my life that I've been able to help other women, and
wow.
An advocate for my body. I've learned to fight for what I believe. I've learned to uplift God and yell from the rooftops that without him, you can't really sustain a livable life. Your mental life, the peace that surpasses all understanding. Only God can provide that. It's not that it's not cancer, cancer gets better. No, but that you lived a life in a faithful way, knowing that God is going to take you through it, that he's not going to leave you or abandon you, that he will bring you out of it, that you will go through the fire, but you won't get burned, that you will be lifted, that you can cry and you can go through processes, but you shouldn't stay there, that you should, continue, that you should be able to be a voice for somebody else that doesn't have Christ, and let them know that there is hope, that God can clear up the mountains, that he can give you the power to have the faith to tell the mountain to move to the other side. God puts us in a position now where I've gone through it, and I go through certain pains and certain sorrows, but I know that I am engraved in the palm of God's hand, that there is too much for be done yet. So I've learned. Yeah, I've learned.
He was awesome.
I
He
love
is. I'm sorry. He's just so awesome because you guys, like I told you guys, I don't prep for my lives. I kind of just go with who God tells me to go with. I don't want to talk until we talk on live because I want it to be authentic. I really want the person to show, and I want to have the same reaction that you guys have. So that's why I'm just so amazed at how, because I didn't know that you lost a child. I kind of knew you had breast cancer twice, but it was like brief. It wasn't like something I knew or whatever. Because you guys, as I stated, this is the first time we've actually had a conversation since high school. So it's just that the fact that you've been through so much. And like you said, even the removal of your breasts and dealing with the loss of your hair being your crown and glory, then your breasts, which you guys know breasts associate you with as a woman, and going through all of these things, and yet and still, your focus is strengthening and empowering other women. And all of that, like, to me, if that God uses everything that he does, because everything, I'm a firm believer that everything is God allowed. Even the enemy, Satan can't do anything unless he gets permission from God to do it. Just ask Job. If you know your Bible, just ask Job. He had to go ask. So I say that to say that you, in spite of everything, some people have one loss and their life is totally discombobulated forever. And your resilience and your perseverance. And honestly, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier because my apostle preached yesterday on the ability to endure. And immediately hearing your testimony, that's what is coming to me. The fact that in spite of everything, that you were able to endure. And if that doesn't show God's power and his mercy, and not even that, his love, because like, I'm sure you guys who are listening, I know someone who's on here, she's going through a cancer issue now, but the fact that God can use anything to get the glory, like anything. And your life now is a testimony to so many other women. And honestly, I've never experienced breast cancer, but the way that the Lord has graced you to go through it and how you are still singing his praises and you're still glorifying his name. There are some people, things have happened to have turned away from God. But yet and still, you're saying, not my will, but your will be done. Like that is just so amazing. Ladies, I know you guys are listening, the comments are going or whatever, but just as women, because we go through so much just in general, and then to have the stacked layers of the things that you've dealt with, and to still be able to come out on the other side and help other women. That's honestly, that's amazing, especially in the day and in the time that we're in. I'm blown away just by how you're able to do that. Because some people, they, like you said, mentally they can't. They just can't. I'm just amazed by that. So how do you, because I know some women will say, oh my God, I can't imagine losing my breast. What, as you were going through that piece, because of course you're on the other side of that now, but there are people who are listening who may have that decision to make. And of course, yours, because it was the second time, it was pretty much, no, this is what we need to do. But what was that emotional piece for you?
Oh, that was actually the devastating part of chemotherapy. I mean, of breast cancer. To lose your breast, it was, you go through a mourning, and that's the only way you can describe. It's that feeling as if somebody passed away. It's that feeling of, you're looking at yourself and you're like, all right, this does not look like me. And now I'm looking at breasts that have scars. I'm looking at my whole body. Like as I said, I had from hip to hip, so I have a scar from hip to hip. Um, a mourning feeling. It's as if you lost somebody, and you have to give yourself time to process and give yourself time to cry. Crying is cleansing. It's okay to cry. You know, it doesn't show weakness. It just allows you to relieve yourself. And I cried. I had to go through all the motions. But once you're done and over with, you know, all right, I've done the best decision for me. This is what I needed to do to continue. This is so it becomes like a back burner. Like once you've passed it, once you've gone through the motions, once you've mourned and you've given yourself time to mourn. Because there's times when you kind of like patch it and you don't deal with those emotions. And not dealing with your emotions is just, they're just going to continue to play peekaboo throughout your life until you kind of like look at yourself in the mirror and it's like, all right, this is me. And honestly, we're talking probably to, you know, a lot of women that are listening, and it's just another, it's the best decision that you can make for your life, for your future, knowing that you've had to get them replaced or removed. As long as you process it, as long as your husband and you know, go through it together, because not only am I losing my breast, also you know, my husband, we're going to have to keep it real, right? We're in a relationship. So yes, there is mourning, there is time, but there is time to heal. And now we've been 3 years after my diagnosis, and we are a-okay. We're fine with our new breast.
Did you go up a cup size? Look.
And it's just a image part that you go through, and
exactly.
Back, I mean, it just goes to side after you know that your family is okay, after you know that you're okay, as long as your children, you know, and your household is fine, and you're healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's just, I mean, I'm a marathon now.
Wow. I am just so excited, one, that you shared your story, and not even that, shared what got you through and shared your faith. Because in the day and time that we're in right now, it is so important to have faith. Like, we're dealing, of course, we're talking about breast cancer, but we know in everything, whether you're dealing with COVID, whether you're dealing with the loss of your loved ones, whether you're dealing with the loss of your pastor, whatever you're dealing with, you have to, especially in this day and time, there's so much going on, to be rooted and grounded in your faith, because people will fail you every time. Every time, no matter what they tell you, no matter what advice or whatever they give, at the end of the day, they will fail you. And so I'm grateful, one, that you came, or that you consented to come on and share your story. Because, guys, of course, she was just like, oh my God, like, I got to talk in front of people. And I said, honestly, you've been doing this the whole time. The Lord has already prepared you for this. Because, again, you guys saw some of the pictures I showed. I didn't ask for I asked for them because I wanted to kind of, you guys to see the journey. But those were things that the Lord had already had her doing prior to knowing she was going to be on any platform. Because a lot of people talk about what they go through, but in the day and time we're in, people are very visual. We know people are looking, everyone is on social media, we're doing videos, we're posting pictures for likes and all of that other stuff. So the fact that even the Lord would have you chronologize your journey, was something that was divinely orchestrated. And so I'm grateful that you came on to share that with us. You guys, what I want to make sure you guys do, because again, I have about 8 minutes left. This is, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as Lillian said, her first diagnosis was at 29 years old. And I know the rule of thumb is, oh, you can wait until you're 40 to get a mammogram. But you need to do your self exams. You need to feel yourself. You need to see what's going on with your body. If you're not feeling right, if you have a lump, whatever it may be, you need to get that checked no matter how old you are, because you just never know. Imagine if Lillian would have said, you know what? Oh, I'm 29. It's a lump, but it can't be that, as everyone else thought. And then all of a sudden your doctors had to say to you, no, it really is cancer. So I'm just admonishing you guys to go out, get checked, check yourself. Also, too, and I didn't have a chance this year, but I'm going to try to be more diligent next year. But if you're not, I know we're dealing with COVID and we have masks and all of that, but even if you don't want to go out and participate in a walk, I don't know if they're doing walks in person, but donate to the cause, donate to research, making sure that even though we're dealing with COVID right now, that there's still other things that are happening. And if someone is dealing with breast cancer or has a breast cancer diagnosis, you don't want them to also have to deal with COVID on top of that. So I just want to make sure that we're mindful that although COVID is real, there are some other things that are happening that are taking the lives of women and men, but mostly at this point, definitely women. So I want you to go to the website. Is www5. I don't know where the 5 came from, but that's what the website says. Komen.org. If you want to donate, if you want to find out where you could participate, I'm sure they're probably doing virtual walks and things of that nature. Or you can also Google Susan J. Komen, G. Komen. The foundation, of course, is hers. You can look at the American Cancer Society, all of these different avenues to get more information. If you need screening information, of course, based on where you are, I suggest you definitely look on these websites to get additional information on how to take care of yourselves. Because again, we have to take care of ourselves. And it's not just for our children and just for our husbands, but for ourselves. Because clearly we're going through what we're going through for a reason, and it is to help somebody else. And so I want us to be mindful that we don't get so distracted in what's happening in the world that we don't take care of ourselves first. This is a sensitive time for women. We're homeschooling our kids. We're still trying to work. We're still trying to cook and clean and do all of these other things that a lot of times we forget ourselves. And I want to make sure that while we're talking about breast cancer awareness, not just to put on pink and say it's breast cancer awareness month, but to really analyze and see whether or not where you fall into that, to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. So before we get off, I just want to say, Lillian, is there anything else that you want to share with us? I just thank you so much. I think you're amazing, Apostle, so much for allowing you to come on. Is there anything else you would like to say to kind of close us out?
No, other than be your best advocate, know that you know your body better than anybody, and know that your strength will always rely on God. So if you don't know God, if you haven't given him your heart, that's the first thing you need to do, and allow God to give you his peace and give you his strength, and allow him to be the one that picks you up. So just really just take care of yourselves, and that is it. May God bless you. And I hope it was a blessing.
It truly was a blessing. If it wasn't a blessing to anybody, it was definitely a blessing to me. And I'm just really excited about what God is doing in your life, in your ministry. We do know that you have a dance ministry and that the Lord is using you in dance, but I just truly believe that your evangelism ministry is going to be something powerful, because our testimonies definitely are to bring people in. If for no other reason, it's to bring people closer to God. So I'm just really excited about what God is going to do through you, not just in dance, but even in your evangelism ministry. And I'm sure your apostle will get you up and moving. I'm confident about it. You guys, if you don't know how to reach her, you contact me, because I'm confident that a lot of people who are doing breast cancer talks and stuff this month is looking for someone. And I'm sure if her apostle releases her to share, she is available to share. We doing virtual. We know we still wear masks. We do still social distance. But I believe her testimony is meant to reach the masses.
Amen.
Because
I'm
honored.
I will add my link to the page. I made a breast cancer page. So if anybody has any questions, or you can. I forgot to send you the link for that, but I'll send you the link to if anybody has any questions.
You guys, we're going to post the link to her breast cancer awareness page, where she'll specifically answer questions and do what. And see, guys, I didn't even know he had a page. That's how I know. The Lord does things well. The Lord does things well. So if you need to reach out to her, I'm going to make sure I get the page so I can post the page. If you have any questions, again, if you have any concerns, if you just want to find a place of solace, I truly believe that the Lord is going to use her in such a mighty way in order to really reach women who are not just dealing with this issue, but dealing with multiple issues, who need someone to show a sign of resilience, strength, and endurance. So I'm just really excited about what he is going to do in your life and in your ministry. You haven't seen anything yet.
Thank you.
I'm so excited about it. And again, like, you did great. See, you were nervous about video. You did great. Thank you. And tell your leaders I said I'm honored that they would release you to share your story with me. Thank you so much. And you guys, again, I'm going to be back on next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what I'm going to talk about because I'm waiting for the Lord to tell me. So when he tells me, I'm going to tell you guys what he releases me to share. I pray that this has been beneficial to you guys. Please like, share, tag, do whatever you need to do to make sure that we get this information out to other people, because again, this is something real. This is something that's still happening even in this chaotic world, and we want to make sure that we love our sisters, that we take care of each other, and that we share our hearts as well as information. So you guys, I love you. Until next time, take care, and thanks again, Lillian. I appreciate it. Bye.